Alright guys, welcome back to Strong Successful Male. So for today, going to go over an email that was sent from a subscriber. This is all about a guy who shares his story about how when he was about 23 years old in the military, and this guy was definitely a ladies' man, had no problem getting women, shares a story of how he was out one night and he ran into a woman he was acquainted with who was on her Bachelorette party. And pretty much she asked him to give her her final roll in the hay, if you will, before she walked down the aisle, which we know darn well probably would not have been her final roll in the hay, but nevertheless, that's what she wanted. And you're going to see how one thing leads to another and where this goes. And let me tell you guys, there's definitely some lessons in this story, because I don't want to reveal too much, so you can obviously hear it and know what happens as I go through the story. But there's important lessons here. In no particular order, one of the most important lessons is that you definitely have to, as for guys that may want to get married one day, you really got to have a good screening process and really carefully vet the girl that you're going to marry. Because even if you think she's the sweetest, most angelic, perfect girl in the world, you wouldn't believe the type of stuff that can happen. You got to pay attention, because you just, especially in today's world where it's like Sodom and Gomorrah out there. Another thing is that you definitely also about how women and accountability, we all know this joke, but nevertheless I'll repeat it, they're not exactly good at accepting their screw-ups and blames, and how when they do something, they often twist things around, make it out to be somebody else's fault. Usually a guy's fault, instead of accepting their poor decisions and bad actions. And another thing is, guys, is simply also watch out for the girls on girls' night, bachelorette parties. Believe me, the stories I've heard and the stories I've done really back it up. Particularly stories I've actually been told by guys I know that were bartenders, or some guys I've heard that were male dancers, so to speak, in those bars and clubs. You know, these things, the stereotypes do happen. Does that mean every single girl on her bachelorette party is going to do something like you're going to see here? Of course not. I know a lot of you guys are going to be like, yeah, we get it, SSM. But there's always some people that stumble upon my channel for the first time and will label me this and label me that. But I'm not saying all, but a surprising number aren't exactly their best behavior at these parties. But anyhow, without further ado, I'm going to get into this guy's story, and you're definitely going to see something revealing here. So it starts off, he says, Hi SSM, I have been following your channel for a while now, and always felt like you have the same viewpoint on most things relationship related that I do. So I thought I would share a story from my single days. I am 55 years old and have been married for 27 years now. I am and have been fully committed to my marriage throughout. But I was a self-proclaimed womanizer and hardcore bachelor. This is the story of something that happened to me during those single days. By far not the only one, maybe. I will share more later. This happened to me when I was still in the military and would have been about 23 years old, give or take a year. And I know I won't be painted in the best light in this story, but I won't sugarcoat it either. It is what it is. Yeah, you're going to see here this guy, his actions, he wasn't exactly a saint, but at least he's admitting it. You know, it is what it is. He says, I had tested and gotten accepted into an occupational specialty where I would have to learn the Czech language, and the military had a setup school especially for that in Monterey, California, Defense Language Institute. It is a challenging course and takes over a year for the basic course. I'd been in the military for about 3 years when I got accepted and went to this school. Before joining the military, I was pretty successful with the ladies. I was popular in high school and was athletic. Played football, wrestled, and baseball, so I was in good shape and was a good-looking kid. Fast forward to me joining the military, and I got even better shape and started hitting the weights on top of our regular daily workouts. Well, you were pretty hardcore if you're going through boot camp training and the military workouts all day, and then you hit the gym on top of that. You're a machine, dude. He said, in high school, I was 6 feet tall and about 180 pounds. When I hit the weights, I packed on about 30 pounds of muscle. This combined with the fact that I was highly social and had a good game meant I couldn't beat the ladies off with a stick. Now on to the actual story. A guy in my class, let's call him John, met a girl when we were in school, let's call her Sharon. I didn't hang out with John very much. We were friendly, but usually only hung out when both of our friends' groups ended up someplace at the same time. I liked John. He was a good guy. I didn't really know Sharon at all. I had seen her around, and I knew who she was, but we never had spoken a word to each other. We had never been introduced to each other either. John and Sharon dated and got engaged during our time at DLI. I heard they were engaged, but like I said, I didn't really hang out with John, so I wasn't in the loop too much. One night, I was out in the club, and Sharon approached me. She started off by extending her hand to shake mine and said, "You're JD, right? I'm Sharon." I told her that I knew who she was, that I'd seen her around all the time, but I guess we'd never been introduced. We kind of both stated how odd that was. We never met, and she made small talk for about a minute, and then straight up asked me if I would like to go have you-know-what with her. Well, imagine that. He's just making small talk and chit-chat, and boom, right to the point. This is the girl who's engaged, I might add. He says, normally, I would have been all in right away. She was attractive, not absolutely gorgeous, but well above average. But as far as I knew, John and Sharon were set to be married pretty soon, like a few weeks from then, as far as I could remember. Nice girl, huh? I was really surprised by her proposition and asked her, "So, you and John broke up?" She just said that no, they had not broken up, but she was on her bachelorette party that night and wanted to sleep with someone else before she got married. Then why the hell are you getting married? Well, we all know why. Because obviously, I'm going to guess she was in her 20s at the time. Maybe later 20s, 30s coming along. Girls don't want to be 30 years old without being at least on their way to the altar or have a ring on her finger. And mind you, he said this was many years ago, so obviously times were a little different back then. She found her nice guy, or beta male provider, whatever you want to call it, and okay, I'm going to go have my magical day, get all the attention, but I want to have my roll in the hay one more time. Real nice, huh? And I'm willing to bet you the guy she's with, your typical nice guy, would never even think about doing that to her, let alone think that she would do that to him. It goes on. He says, she wanted her last night of freedom or some crap. This kind of blew my mind. While I was standing there sort of stunned, she said, "So, what do you think? Want to have you-know-what with me?" I'm not a complete bastard, so I responded, "I think you should go find John, your fiancé, and have you-know-what with him." Well, good for this guy for doing that. But you're going to see this guy wasn't exactly a saint. This didn't faze her in the slightest. She continued to try to convince me to have you-know-what with her over the next 5 to 10 minutes, and I kept telling her no. Probably the fact that this guy wasn't interested, and he kept telling her, "Go home to your man. Get out of here," But she kept persisting. She liked the challenge. And she obviously knew this guy had a reputation. She obviously knew this guy was a ladies' man, and women like guys that are like that. They want a little piece of the action. Then she found my weak spot. She told me I could do anything I wanted and started telling me in a highly detailed way what she would do for me. Well, I was pretty buzzed from alcohol, and what she was saying had its effect on me. Now we have the guy blaming it on the alcohol. I got aroused and just couldn't help but tell her that does sound nice. She knew she had me at that point and turned it on. We left the club shortly after and went to a secluded beach area that I knew about. We had you-know-what, nothing mind-blowing. She gave me oral, and then she got on top and we had you-know-what. Honestly, I was feeling guilty about screwing John's girl, so I didn't really put in much effort. After we were done, she wanted to continue seeing each other. So it wasn't enough that she got some that night, but now she wanted to continue seeing this guy. And I guarantee you that some her friends would just say, "Oh, it's just jitters," or "You're not quite sure," or something like that. It doesn't matter. She's still engaged with this guy, and look what she did here. Now, this guy is no saint. But this guy also, he's man enough to admit that, he's telling his story. It is what it is, but he's showing an example that this was many years ago, but still the same thing went on. And I hear more and more stories about that today. He says, after we were done, she wanted to continue seeing each other. She wanted us to go out for lunch the next day, and I agreed. I don't know why I did that. I took her home and went back to my place and went to bed. The next day, I was sober and felt even more guilty. Well, dude, you should have felt guilty. I mean, that's you just don't do that to other guys. But again, he was younger, so, it is what it is. Quick thing, guys. Don't hook up with other guys' women. I don't care how hot they are. I don't care what they say they're going to do to you. It's not cool. And guess what? Karma's a bitch. And it will come back in one form or another and bite you in the ass one day. Maybe not for 20 years, but it will come back. Anyway, I stood up for lunch. She came and confronted me, and I told her how I felt too guilty to continue seeing her, and I was a hardcore bachelor, so dating was not really a thing for me. She didn't take it very well. I was called names and told how the you-know-what wasn't that great anyway, which I told her, yeah, last night wasn't really my best effort. Sorry about that. She didn't know what else to say and just left angry, but I had a bad feeling. So, what do you think happened next, guys? A little intermission. Do you think she went home and admitted what she did and cried to her man and blamed herself? Or do you think maybe she went home and admitted to her man but blamed somebody else? Can you guess? A few days later, John, this is the guy that was engaged to this garden tool, John and his best friend approached me, and I just knew what was coming. He asked me if I had you-know-what with his fiancée. I said yes, we had you-know-what. He started blowing his top, kind of understandable. He started saying what a piece of crap I was for hitting on seducing his girl. Whoa! Notice this? He's saying that this guy was hitting on seducing his girl. If you remember correctly, she was the one hitting on him and seducing him. Sounds like Mr. Fiancé got a different story from his very butthurt and angry, rejected fiancé. His friend was piling on me too. I did feel bad for screwing his girl, but I felt I had to set the record straight. I said, whoa. First off, I did not seduce her. She seduced me. I tried not to F her, but she wouldn't take no for an answer, and I was weak. Again, this guy's no saint, but she wouldn't leave him alone. Now, yes, of course, he could have walked away or told her to piss off or something like that, but she wouldn't let up. We know the story here. But notice, this guy's made to be the bad guy. We know the villain in this story here. At this point, the friend started getting really hostile, and it was looking like I'd be fighting pretty soon if I didn't get the situation under control. I told the friend to shut his pie hole and let the adults finish talking. Then if John still wants to throw down, we can go that route, but it's not what I want to do. John told his friend to let me talk, so I detailed everything leading up to the girl and I having you-know-what from above. He wanted to know what things we had done, and I told him. I was totally honest. Not sure if he completely believed me at first, but as I told him pretty much, he accepted it was true. He kept wanting to know what she did. I said I didn't really know, but I think either she wanted one last night as a single woman, or she was getting cold feet about marrying him and wanted to self-destruct the whole thing. Probably a combination of it all, but again, it doesn't justify or give her an excuse for her actions. And honestly, in my opinion, I think that she'd get married to this guy, probably kept doing the same thing. Honestly, I think she was trying to self-destruct. I told him this, but also said if he wants those answers, he needs to ask her. Yeah, well, good luck getting an honest answer out of her. Please. Somewhere around this time, he got really upset again and was getting pretty verbally abusive with me. I'd taken it so far because I felt bad for the guy and guilty for my part in it. But he was going too far, and after he said something to do with what a piece of crap I was for sleeping with her, I had enough and told him, well, John, I really did not try to sleep with her. I turned her down multiple times, and truth be told, if she shows up at my door tonight, I will probably F her again. Whoa! You were definitely getting on the defense at that point. Then I told him I was done talking with him, and if he needs to talk to her for more answers, but if he felt he needed to take this to the physical level, that would be too bad because I really didn't want to kick his butt on top of sleeping with his girl. John and his friend left. I guess he did talk to Sharon. I don't know the details, but they did go ahead and get married. Oh my God. Betas are betas. Doesn't make a difference whether it is now in 2021 or 27 years ago. And what the hell year was that? 2004? No. What am I saying? 94. Betas are betas. Doesn't make a difference. He married her after this happened because he probably went home and she probably did the whole waterworks routine. I'm so sorry, and he seduced me. Blame this guy. Or even if this guy really got her to confess that maybe it was her, she probably would have cried, because you all know the waterworks they can pull that in a heartbeat, and blamed it on cold feet or who knows what, or maybe blamed him. And this guy went and married her anyway. And do you think she respected him anymore because he forgave her and married her? No, I guarantee she respected him less, because any guy with any kind of value or options would have kicked her ass to the curb like that. No guy can prevent a girl from cheating on him. If they're going to do it, they're going to do it. But what he can do is what happens when he finds out this information. And I tell you guys all the time, you find out your girl's cheating on you, she's toast. Move on. Because if you keep her, it's going to happen again. And if, let's just say, it doesn't happen again right away, she's going to treat you like crap, because you showed her that you're so low value that you're going to let this go. And she's not going to love you, because she sure as hell doesn't respect you. And again, if a woman doesn't respect you, she sure as hell is going to love you. And back to the love thing, that love is different than the way a guy would love. A guy can love wholeheartedly. A woman, it's conditioned. If you don't lose your level of status that she's used to, that you have a job or an income, that she's used to a certain lifestyle, and you obviously act like a man. Those things change. Bye-bye love. And hence comes testing and drama and eventually affairs and cheating. Or just leaves you. It says here, I can't imagine that marriage ended well for him. Guess this is just a cautionary tale to guys about making sure to vet the people you get involved with before getting serious. Sincerely, JD. Well, dude, thank you for sharing that story. Again, you certainly were no saint. And if that guy punched you back then, you certainly had it coming. And I'm sure looking back, you recognize that you did. But you were younger, okay, and at least you admit that you weren't your best. And I respect you for sharing that. But again, guys, like I said before in the beginning of the video, this is a perfect example of she's the one that did the cheating. She's the one that bugged him and tried to seduce him. He hooked up with her, but then that's it. Guilt got over him, what he's done with her. And she went home and blamed him. No accountability. And the lesson about these things that happen, you hear about at bachelorette parties, it's no different back then as it is today. So for you guys that have your ladies, you got to pay attention. And of course, really carefully vetting the girls that you're serious with before you actually get really serious. Spend some serious time with them before you actually get into any kind of exclusive relationship. Make them work for you. See what they're like in different situations, situations that life hits them, to see that shows a real person's character. It's easy to have just for a few months and everything's perfect in the world and magical. You're not going to see the real her. You need to be with her for a long time and see, what she's like with a job loss, or a family member gets sick or dies, or many other things, see how she handles that. And this is, of course, if you want to get serious. And then if you actually want to marry her, which I wouldn't recommend, you do a test run. Only in the situation where you're going to get married would I ever recommend you live with a woman and see what she's really like. And even then, she could put on an act for a while. So you really got to be careful before you get serious. But anyhow, that'd be a good one to cover here, just to show you. Nothing changes. Doesn't make a difference. It was many decades ago. It is what it is. So just be careful, guys. So, all right, guys, that is it for today. Be sure to comment down below. Let me know what you think about this. And be sure to like the video, share with your friends, and subscribe. And I'll catch you next time.